Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Good morning, everyone. As we have quorum present for today's meeting, I would like to call this meeting of the Hamilton Municipal Heritage Committee to order. Just a reminder that all electronic devices are to be switched to a non-audible function during our committee meetings. As we begin our meeting, we'll go through our roll call. If I could just have you acknowledge your presence. Councillor Kretsch.
I'm present.
Karen Burke is absent. Graham Carroll.
Present.
Andrew Douglas. Lynn Lundstead.
Present.
Andy McLaren. Stefan Spalnick. Oh, I think Stefan's dropped from the call. Oh, Stefan? Oh, there I stand. Okay. All right. I wonder if he can hear us. Thank you, everyone. So we'll move on to the approval of our agenda. May I please have a mover and a seconder to approve the agenda as presented?
I see Graham and Lynn.
And are there any amendments for the committee members for this agenda? Graham, did you?
Yes, you got,
Just your,
as I have three I'd like to add. One's to deal with Councillor Kazar's motion to the General Issues Committee. The other one is some fencing around the Halton Sack Hospital grounds today. And
our house.
thank you, our Philippe House, the concern we saw with the property. Thank you for reminding me.
So through the chair, the first two can be addressed under general information, other business. And then the last one, I believe, is an item already on the agenda. Under the property, the buildings and listings landscape item A3.
Okay, that's great. So we'll pick up those items as we go through the agenda. As we move to vote, is there anyone opposed? Seeing none, that item is carried. Declarations of interest. Do we have any declarations of interest to declare today? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 5.1 is the approval of our minutes from our previous meeting. We have before us the meeting notes from February 28th, 2025. May I please have a mover and a seconder to adopt the minutes as presented?
See Graham and Councillor Kretsch.
And is there any discussion on those minutes? Seeing none, as we move to vote, is there anyone opposed? Seeing none, that item is carried. Under item 6.1 is our delegations. Peter Vanderand from Park 8 Inc. is respecting item 8.3, notice of intention to demolish the buildings located at 191 Melville Street, Dundas, being non-designated property listed on the Municipal Heritage Register, Ward 13. I'd like to call upon Pete Vanderand to delegate to a committee respecting item 8.3. Welcome, Pete.
Morning, thank you. We're the agent, it's Pete from Park 8. We're the agent representing 191 Melville. We read the staff comments and are in agreement.
Do we have any questions of our delegate from any of our? Seeing none. Thank you very much for joining us today. May I have a mover and a seconder to receive the delegation?
See Graham and Lynn.
And as we move to receive, is there anyone opposed? Seeing none, that item is carried. Thank you. And we'll move on to item 7.7. So we have our items of information. May I have a mover and a seconder to receive the items of information 7.1 to 7.5?
I see Stefan and Andrew.
Okay. Is there any discussion of these items? Any questions in regards to the meeting notes? No. As we move to vote, is there anyone opposed? Seeing none, that item is carried. Item 8.1 is PED 25070, which is a recommendation to designate 200 Main Street East, Hamilton, the First Pilgrim United Church under Part 4 of the Ontario Heritage Act, Ward 2. Scott Dickinson, Cultural Heritage Planner, is here to give us a presentation. Welcome, Scott.
All right.
Pardon me. All right, good morning, everyone. This is Scott Dickinson, Cultural Heritage Planner, and this is report PED 25070, the recommendation to designate 200 Main Street East, Hamilton. PowerPoint's being a little slow. There we go. This property is located on the southern side of Main Street East, between Ferguson Avenue South and Spring Street, in the Corktown neighborhood within the city of Hamilton. It was first surveyed for potential heritage interest in the 1970s. And in 2014, this property was surveyed as part of the Downtown Built Heritage Inventory. And coming out of that project, this property was listed on the Municipal Heritage Register and added to staff's designation work plan as a medium priority. As a result of the changes wrought by Bill 23, this property was reprioritized for designation by January 1st, 2025. A staff recommend designation for this property as it meets, as it meets 8 of the 9 criteria laid out under Ontario Regulation 9-06. It has design and physical value. This 2-story buff brick church, which was constructed in 1913, is a representative example of a Beaux Arts style church, which is it is a rare example of a Beaux Arts style church in Hamilton. Features typical of this style include the symmetrical front elevation, the property's monumental size and scale, the central entrance with the elaborate decorations, and the eclectic use of classical architectural elements like composite order columns, the palmette acroterion, and the Roman latticework windows. We have some examples of those features here. This property displays a high degree of craftsmanship through features including the composite order columns, featured here on the right, the fluted Corinthian order pilasters in the photograph on the left, the carved stone palmette acroterion, those interesting little features on top of the red tile roof on the pediment, the molded stone surround on the central entrance with oval decorations and carved ornate brackets, the Roman latticework windows, the double molded cornices, the square pilasters supporting the cornice on the side elevations, and the recessed window bays with dentils separated by square pilasters. This property has a great deal of historical and associative value. It is associated with the long-standing First Pilgrim United Church, which was originally known as the First Congregational Church, founded in 1834 although the early congregation would not have a building until the following year. The First Congregational Church inhabited a site at the corner of Houston and Cannon Street through much of the 19th century. The original frame building, which, actually wasn't completed until 1839, so the congregation starts in 1834, but they were in rented accommodations for 5 years before they could build a church. This frame building was replaced in 1859 by a brick structure, and then by the early years of the 20th century, the congregation had decided to move to a new building on a new site, and so in 1912 purchased the current property and began construction in, 1912. Their new building, the current property, was based on the Emmanuel Congregational Church in Montreal, which still stands at 2085 Drummond Street in Montreal. In 1925, the First Congregational Church voted to join the United Church of Canada, and so they renamed themselves Pilgrim United Church. By the 1970s, Pilgrim United, along with several other United churches in Hamilton's downtown core, were experiencing declining attendance and revenues, leading to talks of amalgamation between Sanitary United Church, First United Church, and of course, Pilgrim United Church. Hence the renaming to First Pilgrim United Church, as those 3 congregations joined together. Actually, when these congregations amalgamated, they decided to sell this property and move to a new location at First Place, when that building was newly constructed. However, they found the new location to not be adequate, and since they had not found a purchaser for the subject property, the new congregation simply moved back in. And so this property actually has two date stones, the original 1912 dedication stone and a rededication stone from 1984. It's always fun. This property has the potential to yield information that contributes to an understanding of the local community. As a long-standing presence in this area and as the amalgamation of 3 separate congregations, this property can yield information that contributes to an understanding of the history of the United Church in Hamilton. And of course, this property demonstrates the work of noted Hamilton architect Stuart McPhee, who designed a number of residential, institutional, commercial, industrial, and religious structures. Several other of McPhee's Hamilton churches, include the Stanley Avenue Baptist Church. Yeah, I know. Pictured here, and the First Church of Christ Scientist, which is the photograph on the left. No, pardon me. The First Church of Christ Scientist is on the right, and the Stanley Avenue Baptist Church is on the left. This property has contextual value. It helps support the historic character of Corktown, one of the oldest residential neighborhoods in Hamilton. It is historically linked to its surrounding area, being sited on its original location along the historic transportation corridor of Main Street East. And due to its size, material usage, and architectural style, this property is a visually distinctive structure which is differentiated from the surrounding area of commercial buildings and parking lots. Set close to the public right-of-way along a major thoroughfare, this highly visible building dominates its immediate surroundings and is considered to be a local landmark. Those 8 criteria are summarized here in the Statement of Cultural Heritage Value or Interest. The full version of the statement is in Appendix B of the attached report. And also in that attached report is the full description of heritage attributes for this property, which will inform the drafting of a heritage designation bylaw for this property. This is a summary of the key points, but the main heritage attributes of this property include its front and side elevations and roof line with its buff brick, the brick parapet with its projecting cornice and brick frieze, the symmetrical front facade with its triangular pediment with stone moldings and cornice and its carved stone palmette acroterion, the plain frieze and cornice under the pediment supported by 6 composite order columns and 2 Corinthian order pilasters, the central entrance flanked by smaller secondary entrances, the molded stone surround on the central entrance, the Roman latticework windows, and the original 1912 date stone and the 1984 rededication date stone, as well as key contextual attributes include its location fronting onto Main Street East with its minimal setback from the public right-of-way. Staff recommend that the city clerk be directed to give notice of council's intention to designate this subject property as a property of cultural heritage value under Part 4 of the Ontario Heritage Act. And of course, if there are any questions at this time.
Thank you, Scott. Before we go to questions, if I can get a mover and a seconder to put the report on the floor.
I'd say Graham and Stefan.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Scott? Go ahead.
Well, Scott, once again, excellent report. Thank you very much. And thank you for educating me. I always thought this was a beautiful building and unusual. But looking at your pictures and your descriptions, I realized just how unusual this building really needs protecting. Thank you.
Any other questions for Scott before? No. If not, we'll move to our vote to receive the presentation and approve the recommendations in the report. Are there any further questions? No questions? Okay. As we move to vote, is there anyone opposed? Seeing none, that item is carried. Thank you, everyone. We'll now move on to item 8.2, which is PED 25092, our heritage permit application, HP 2025-003, under Part 5 of the Ontario Heritage Act for the demolition of 2 rear detached accessory structures and the construction of a new rear detached accessory structure at 155 Main Street North, Flamborough, Ward 15. May I have a mover and a seconder to put the report recommendations on the floor?
I see Graham and Lynn.
Okay, so we have before us those recommendations. Are there any questions at all? Seeing none, we'll now move to vote to receive the presentation and approve the recommendations in the report. As we move to vote, is there anyone opposed? Seeing none, that item is carried. Item 8.3 is PED 25112, Notice of Intention to Demolish the Buildings Located at 191 Melville Street, Dundas, being a non-designated property listed on the Municipal Heritage Register, Ward 13. May I have a mover and a seconder to put the report recommendations on the floor?
I see Andrew and Stefan.
Okay, we have before us the report recommendations. Are there any questions of the committee? No questions or comments? If not, we'll move on to the vote to approve the recommendations in the report. As we move to vote, is there anyone opposed? Seeing none, that item is carried. I'll now pass the chair over.
This is item 9.1, the Hamilton Municipal Heritage Committee Heritage Recognition Awards 2024-25. Alyssa, please introduce your motion and your seconder.
I'd like to put forward that the Hamilton Municipal Heritage Committee's Heritage Recognition Awards be held on Thursday, June 26, 2025 at 7 p.m. at Bridgeworks, which is located at 200 Caroline Street, Hamilton, Ontario.
As I'm here, I'll second it.
Okay.
Is that, yep. Are there any questions from the committee? Hey, if not, we'll vote on the motion. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, passes.
Thank you, Graham. We now move on to our general information and other business. Item 11.1 is the winter 2025 McMaster student practicum presentation. So we had that presentation at our previous meeting. May I have a mover and a seconder to receive the presentation materials?
I see Graham and Councillor Crutch.
And as we move to vote, is there anyone opposed? Seeing none, that item is carried. Item 11.2 is our Heritage Buildings and Landscapes watch list. So are there any additions to the list before we move forward through reports? So Graham?
More of a question. I was at a couple of meetings last week and there was discussion about Melrose United Church is amalgamating with another church, but no one could tell me if they're amalgamating and moving out or someone's amalgamating and moving in. Is there any way we could find out if there's a danger to that lovely building?
Through the chair, Alyssa Golden, Cultural Heritage Program Lead. Do you have the address of that building? I'm not familiar with it off the top of my head, unfortunately. Through the chair, so yes, if I'm understanding correctly, it's on Locke Street South.
Okay, the official address is 86 Homewood Avenue. Right on the corner of Locke and Home.
Through the chair, as far as I know, it does not have any status under the Ontario Heritage Act. I believe it might just be on our inventory. Staff haven't had any recent contact regarding this or have specific contacts, but we can try to reach out to the congregation if that would be the committee's desire.
It would be mine if you can, please. I tried to find out myself and I had no way of knowing. Thank you.
So Graham has put forward that motion for staff to contact. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second that motion.
Stefan, yeah. Thank you, Stefan. As we move to vote on that item, is there anyone opposed? Seeing none, that item would be carried. Do we have any other additions to the list, or is there anyone wishing to report on a property? Go ahead, Alyssa.
Through the chair, just noting at the last meeting when we didn't have quorum, Andy was looking to add a property. Should we just wait till he He's here next time? Okay.
Okay, so I'll bring up the discussion about Mark Whipple House. Show the image, please. Thank you. Heard reports online. I haven't physically attended yet, but the brickwork or the stonework is really starting to fail rapidly. And this house is looking at being moved. This kind of stuff has to be repaired quickly to stabilize the wall to make sure that it's possible to move it. Was there any follow-up from Emily?
Through the chair, so Heritage staff have brought this to municipal law enforcement's attention. We have also been in discussion with the agents for the owner as they're working through their heritage permit conditions. They have completed a conservation plan as a requirement of that heritage permit, and staff have also met with their engineer with qualified heritage experience in terms of the scopes of work necessary prior to moving the building as proposed. This is on their radar. Staff have encouraged them to proactively do this repair work sooner rather than later, and also pointed them towards the Heritage Grant programs available to assist with funding that work. Right now, that would be under the scope of what's already approved as part of the Heritage permit, because that is required prior to the move. So that conversation has taken place and has been flagged. I will note that in staff's conversation with the engineer for the property, they are aware of that, the current issue in terms of the dislodged stones. They didn't have any concern in terms of imminent collapse or failure as a part of their review, but they also strongly encouraged that that work take place sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I kind of remember that last November the 11th as well. I kind of remember hearing that last November the 11th as well.
All right, so any other updates in regards to properties on our list? Oh, go ahead, Councillor Cratch.
I'm not sure it's one we're watching, but 21 John Street, I think, if I have it correct, which is across from the old gas station at the corner of near John and Main, is being torn down, I believe, because it's unsafe. And I don't have a lot of information on this, so I'm talking a bit out of hand, but it's the building without a roof on it right next to the Sabinka Courthouse, if that helps you. I'm not sure if this is a heritage structure. I don't think so, but I know that it certainly is an older building. And so I was just inquiring as to whether we had any information that could be shared here about that, in case there was any relevancy to the Heritage Committee about that. I wasn't sure.
Through the chair, yes, so 21 John Street South is currently listed on the city's municipal heritage register. I do understand there's active conversations going on in terms of next steps and whether there'll be a specific direction or not. I'm unable to report about what the outcome of that is, but yes, we are aware and have been in conversation with building inspection and municipal law enforcement staff in terms of what next steps are.
Okay, thank you.
Any other updates? Properties? Seeing none, may I have a mover and a seconder to receive the updates?
I see Graham and Lynn.
And as we move to vote, is there anyone opposed? Seeing none, that item is carried. Do we have any other business from committee members today?
Kazar's motion.
Oh, yes. Go ahead, Graham. Do you want to introduce you?
Okay, first off, just driving down here today, coming down West 5th, there's all kinds of construction fencing on the north end of the property of the Ontario Hospital. It extends from Brantdale right down to where the guardrail goes for the Claremont access. Just curious if you've heard anything, what work's going on? Do we have any control over that being provincial lands? Do they have to come see us?
Through the chair, I'm not familiar with that scope of work. Staff can certainly look into it, but if it's the property that I'm thinking of and that portion is provincially owned, listed on the Municipal Heritage Register, but that is not applicable law for a provincial property in terms of like there's no formal heritage permits or approvals that would be needed. I'm just trying to think. We can certainly look into it, but I'm not.
Doesn't the heritage designation for Century Manor take in the entire property?
Through the chair, so the entire property is technically designated in the Municipal Heritage Act, on the Ontario Heritage Act, sorry. Portion of the property has been severed and sold and is now outside of provincial hands, so it is technically protected by that municipal designation. The remainder of the provincially owned heritage property is not applicable law, nor are there heritage features that are protected in the bylaw on that portion of the property.
Okay, I'm just curious because I just saw it today, and I know usually speaking, as long as it's designated property, we see a heritage permit at the Heritage Permit Review Committee. Okay, so I heard that Councilor Kazar passed a motion to extend funding outside of normal programming for Troy School. I'm just wondering how much input you've had and how this is going to affect other properties and is going to be potentially opening it up to other landowners.
Through the chair, my apologies, I'm just pulling it up so I can refer to it. So it's item 10.2 on next Tuesday's Planning Committee agenda. This was a notice of motion at the last Planning Committee meeting. So it was introduced then and is now moving forward. This motion brought forward by Councillor Kazar is in response to a request from the owners of that property to repeal the designation bylaw. Heritage staff have been in conversation with the owners off and on over the last year to discuss some challenges they're having financially to fund repair work to the exterior cladding of the building, which is original wood cladding, which is a heritage attribute. Staff have been strongly encouraging retention and repair of that existing cladding or an alternative to potentially replace with wood or wood composite synthetic material. Ultimately, it's led to the owners submitting a request to repeal the designation bylaw. Through those conversations, we connected with the councillor's office to discuss the potential to expand, as through a council motion, the eligibility for our larger Heritage Grant program. Right now, they would only be eligible for the smaller matching grant of up to $5,000 for scopes of work, which could be up to $80,000 to $120,000. So this motion would allow the owners to submit an application for our larger Hamilton Heritage Property Grant Program, which could, if for eligible scopes of work, mean that they could receive up to $150,000 to assist with that work. So we're hoping that that could be a way to address the financial concerns and also address their concerns in terms of requesting to repeal the designation bylaw. So that right now that's a motion. The motion also includes a recommendation to, in light of not just this, but other property owners who have similarly are outside of the geographic eligibility of that larger grant program, to explore what that could look like to expand that program citywide. So it would give staff direction to not just receive this single application, but explore the feasibility and effectiveness of potentially expanding the program as well.
Thank you. I think it'd be really good just to get rid of the geographical limitations when we're going to be helping people with heritage buildings. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Alyssa, for that update. Any other items? Are there any updates from staff? Nope, seeing none. If there's no other business, then we can go to adjournment, if everybody's good. With there being no further business, the Hamilton Municipal Heritage Committee is now adjourned at just before 10 o'clock, 9:59. Our next meeting is going to be Friday, April 25th at 12 noon. Okay. Thank you, everyone, and we will see you at the end of the month.